What's going on, guys? It is the Friday, May 28th edition of the MMA Junkie Twitter Mailbag, and we don't have any fights this weekend. No UFC, no Bellator, no PFL. Pretty unusual circumstances for 2021, right? There's still XFC is back tonight, and then one championship as well. So there are some shows, but none of the major North American promotions are competing, which is pretty unusual for this day and age. But you guys still sent in a bunch of questions, which I appreciate. We had a bunch of news this week, and the MMA world really never stops. There can be holding shows or not, but there's still news and things to talk about. So let's just jump right into it. Daniel Lopez asked, Dana White said Covington is next for Usman, but we have Edwards versus Diaz and Burns versus Wonderboy coming up. Who do you see getting the next title shot at welterweight? To me, I think this is a pretty easy answer if things play out the way that I think most people expect them to. As much as Burns and Wonderboy are perennial contenders and are great fighters, Burns just had his shot. Wonderboy's had a couple chances as well, as good as he is. So I think it's Leon Edwards' shot to lose. Nate Diaz is a big name. It's a 5-round fight. Gonna have a lot of eyeballs on it. Edwards hasn't lost forever. To me, pretty clear choice that if Leon Edwards wins, it's his title shot against the winner of Usman versus Covington. Unless Covington wins, and then they go with a trilogy. So a lot of things have to play out, but to answer your question, I would go with Leon Edwards. Who should Nick Diaz fight if and when he returns? Hashtag 209. What? If Diaz comes back this year, things are kind of similar to the way that they are, which seems like what things are trending towards, right? Dana White met with him recently. Sounds like he's going to give him the chance. So Nick Diaz comes back. I would like to see him fight Carlos Condit. And it sounds like Carlos Condit might have a fight right now, so it would have to be on the other side of this. But to me, that's the fight that makes sense. Win or lose for Carlos, they have history. It's a fight that I know Nick would sign up for. It's two bigger names. Sure, they might be over the hill a little bit, but I think it's a fight people will still be interested in. And there's incentive for both guys in that matchup. Next question from Lego Heat. If Michael Venom Page were to come to the UFC, who would you like to see him fight? I think Kevin Holland and him would be epic. Nate Diaz, or if he went down, or if Hooker went up, that would be dope. I really like the suggestions you threw out there. For those that didn't see it, MVP bringing up the UFC again this week. He's done it a number of times recently, and it's either a really good negotiating tool on his part to kind of, I don't want to say threaten Bellator, but make him a little bit nervous and maybe give him a title shot over some other people. That could be what's going on. Or he's just being very honest. Every time I've talked to MVP, he's come across as a very real person. So I'm going to take him at face value here. But he's 34, and he is on a roll. He had the Douglas Lima loss, but I think if you look at his record, you can kind of ignore that, and it's still pretty impressive. You still realize that, he's a pretty solid fighter, as we saw in the Derek Anderson fight recently. So I think it's going to have to happen soon. I like the Kevin Holland idea just because I think they're kind of mirror images. Sure, MVP taunts a little more, and maybe Kevin vocalizes a little bit more, but I think that would be a really interesting fight. And Nate Diaz, I mean, man, imagine him trying to taunt Nate, some of the reactions that we get in there. So I like those two. I think that you're on the money with that. I'm all in. Who do you think Geichi should fight next? In my opinion, it should be Chandler. I've talked about this in past weeks. I think Justin Geichi versus Charles Oliveira, if Oliveira is healthy, should be booked right now. I think set it up October, November, somewhere in there. That way the Poirier-McGregor winner doesn't have to wait too long for a title shot. I just think you have that capability right now. You have the ability to slot Poirier or McGregor in the on-deck circle and have Oliveira, who seems like he walked away pretty unscathed from that last fight, defend his title. Geichi, in my opinion, deserves the next shot based on merit. Well, Dustin Poirier deserves the next shot based on merit, but he's booked. So next guy would be Justin Geichi. Only lost to Khabib. No shame in that. I would book it, but going off what Dana White said recently, like if I was a betting man, what is the UFC most likely to do? Have to be Chandler. Enrique Ortiz asks, any possible plans for the UFC to return to Fight Island? Yeah, I think Dana's kind of said this, but they're going to be back there. Fight Island still exists, and I believe the UFC signed a pretty lengthy deal with the Abu Dhabi government that would ensure that they would bring shows to Abu Dhabi, and that was before the pandemic. That was before all the craziness. That was before it was deemed Fight Island. So I expect to see more. I expect Dana White maybe to even do them some favors, bring back extra shows. We've seen in the past, whether you like Dana or not, he's a very loyal person. people that help him out when he needs something, he seems to scratch their back in return. So yes, Fight Island is still a thing. Idiot79094307. Why is Zabit being disrespected so hard? I mean, I know why, but I don't agree with it. It's because he doesn't fight. He hasn't fought for a while. The last fight against Cater, he showed some potential gas tank issues. So that's why he's being disrespected. But does he deserve it? That's a different question. And the answer to that is no. I mean, he's an elite fighter. He's fun. Even though he doesn't speak much English, he translates, interest across nationalities, across languages. He's a superstar. So hopefully we see him back in 2021. But unfortunately, there are those people that like to take shots and criticize. And that should do it for the questions this week, guys. I appreciate everything you guys sent in. And even though there aren't any fights this weekend from the UFC or Bellator or PFL, we'll still have a ton of interviews, breaking news, other segments. So keep it locked to MMA Junkie.